Welcome to Key Concepts. In this video series, we'll be discussing a variety of material that can benefit belly dancers of any style, but is especially intended for those dancers who want to dance and enjoy global caravan style. I'm Misha, your certified master teacher and master leader, and I'm excited to share these ideas with you.
Let's talk about foot placement and the way that we connect our feet to the earth for our deeply rooted tribal belly dance class. So many of the movements that we have in this class actually feature some interesting foot things going on. So in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So I'll sort of do a view from afar, and then I'll come up close and tilt the video down so you can see my feet. So the one thing I want to talk about, just to start, is talking about the way your foot connects to the earth. So a lot of times in belly dance, we're taught to really point the foot because it's really lovely, really beautiful, right? And when we do some of our movements like our Tunisian walk, when we're on the balls of our feet, we do have that nice little toe point. We also can have the flex like we get in the stomp. So some of these movements, some of these walks, the actual alignment of the foot, whether it's toes facing forward or turned out, and whether the foot is flexed versus point, this is very important. So that's the first thing to keep in mind is kind of like, what is the foot doing? Is it pointed? Is it flexed? Is it toes forward? Is it toes out? Those are things that you want to bring your attention to because we're thinking about how we connect with the earth and where your feet go. If the movement specifically calls for toes point forward and then they point out like it does in a Mel's Turkish, we want to make sure that we're doing that with our feet, okay? So the other thing we want to think about is the difference between, like I started to say, between the pointing of connection and the ball of the foot, all right? A lot of times in belly dance, when we put the ball of the foot down, it's what we would call in Tai Chi an empty step, where we're not even connecting with the ground. Like it's super light. Like I'm just here. It's maybe like, right now I probably have 80% of my weight on this leg and only 20 here. This is more of a 50-50. So you can kind of see like when I root down into that ball and let the earth support me, my posture improves and I can be really deeply rooted. Now, if you're a dancer that's been trained in other styles, or maybe you're just not really used to putting the ball of the foot down, that's okay. That can be something that you practice for sure. But just remember that some of these movements, like our touchdown step, where we touch and then put our foot down, it's not like a toe point down. It really is the ball of the foot and then down. That's the earthiness of it, okay? Sometimes we do have to stay a little light on our feet, especially for movements where we're moving quickly. Like if we start doing our Egyptians quickly, we want to step, touch, and we may not be able to push our weight into the ground and let the movement spiral up, but we still want it to be the ball of the foot. So the actual part of your foot right here and not the toe. So it is that ball of the foot. So I'll come a little bit closer and show you what that looks like up close. So I'll angle the camera down. Let's look at those feet positions that I was just showing you a few moments ago on the mat. So sometimes we talk about our feet being like facing forward. So in movements like a Mel's Turkish, when we start it, we have our foot facing forward and then it turns out. So a turnout, and my turnout is pretty intense because I started learning ballet when I was 4 or 5 years old. So for me, a turnout is here. That's not really normal. So you want it to be to the corner. So you can think about it that way. So when we look at these feet positions, we want to think about forward with the toes and then turned out, okay? And we can do that on both sides because of course this move can be done on both sides. So we have forward and turned out. We also sometimes will either point or flex our toes. So what that means is when we look at a point is where the extension of the leg, like the line, goes all the way down. There's no break at the ankle, so there's no flexation. So if I did that with my hand, this would almost be like pointing my hand. So I have this nice long line. This is where it's flexed. So I can do that with my legs as well. It's nice and long here. It's flexed here.
Same thing on the other side, pointed and flexed. So if you have any kind of challenges with your feet, if your feet are tight for any reason, a nice little stretch you can do, I'll show you from the side, is just coming into your belly dance posture, so you're practicing your rooted posture as well, and just picking up the foot and flexing it out, and then bringing it back down. So I'm just staying connected with the ball of my foot and bringing it down. And again, on the other side, it's just lifting it up and down and up and down. And that can really help you get more mobility in your feet, especially if you go to flex your foot and you're finding any kind of trouble bringing the foot back. So that's a really good one with it. Also, any type of circles with your feet, and we always want to make sure that we go one way and then we go the other. And of course, we want to do both feet as well. So making sure that if you do anything like this, we are practicing and stretching both sides. So that will help you build mobility in the feet. So we use that flex and that toe point. So when we have our Moroccan hip hop, we're taking our hips around, back, around, and then the foot comes up. And it really is supposed to be flexed. So it's like a little in with the belly and the foot pulls up. So that would be an example of that. With our stomp, when we release the foot is flexed. So that's that's okay. That's great. Like we want it to be really graphic. So wherever your flex is great, but you just want to make sure you can do it on both sides and you've got that foot coming up, versus the Tunisian walk where it's a point, right? So we really want that point, okay? And the final thing we want to talk about when we look at the feet is the idea of the point of the foot versus the ball. And this comes in handy. A really great example of it would be our hip bump, where we angle to the corner. Our standing leg, so you see this is my left leg, so my standing leg is flat, and the other foot should be on the ball of the foot. And that is helping me push into the earth to lift that hip. It's totally normal if you've studied other styles of dance to want it to be like on the toe and do it like a little bit more delicately or even more like airily. But for this, we're really thinking about that ball connecting with the earth. And so I'll come a little bit closer so you can see. Whoop. So we really want the part of your foot that is, sorry, my feet are so dirty because I'm a dancer. So the ball right here. So not the point of the toe, like not the big toe or the toes, but the actual pad of the foot. That is what should be connecting with the floor. And we see that with our Egyptian basic, right? So we step right, touch left. And when we touch left, that hip spirals up. So we have a lift and a twist at the same time. So it's like I'm taking my hip bone to the corner. And I can really get that by thinking of pressing into the ground. Release, step, touch, release. So those are just some things to consider when you're thinking about the feet that are involved in your global caravan tribal belly dance.